What's going on, everybody? You are watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's live show, we're going to be diving into the latest Vikings injury news, talking about some trade rumors, and we'll get into a mailbag at the tail half of today's live show. But I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in today, and we got a big-time matchup versus the Detroit Lions this weekend in Detroit. And if you guys want the Vikes to get a big-time victory, just give me those skulls down below, and we'll give you guys some shout-outs here. Reed Southern in the building. What's going on? Milo is in the house. Brady then. Ben Herford. Clay in the building. What's going on, man? T Sugar, what's going on, Tim? Glad to have you in the building. Ben Herford. Also, Tim, I'm very excited to see what you're going to be sending my way. I cannot wait for that. Barato Clash in the building. Jess in the building. George in the building. Bro Zama, Bin Swaggin, JFR. And I will say, times have been tough as a Vikings fan over the last couple of weeks. I mean, haven't gotten a win since the Week 5 game against the Cleveland Browns in London. But J.J. McCarthy's back this week, and that just adds life, one, into this fan base, and I'm sure the rest of those guys in the locker room, because there's nothing more enjoyable as a fan than watching a young quarterback develop. And we also got some major news heading into this game as Andrew Van Ginkel, it's looking like he will make his return to the Vikings defense this weekend. And also Brian O'Neill, Darren Wolfson is saying he should be good to go. Also Christian Darrisaw, he's got a good chance. So we'll be talking about it all on today's show. But if you guys want the Vikes to beat the Lions, hit me with those skulls down below, as we got Clay playing Fortnite right now in the building. I haven't played Fortnite in a while. I was a sicko on Fortnite, though, back in the day, Clay. I could probably give you the work. Just going to make that crystal clear here, Clay. If we ever had the 1v1 on Fortnite, if it was me back in like 2018, I think I would give you the business. But Smug God in the building saying, I'm so excited to see AVG. I am as well. Brady then saying, I'm unreal on Fort. Brady then, I would smoke you too, my guy. Don't worry about that. As Clay saying, hey, for real. Jess saying, we guaranteed a loss on Sunday, but still excited to see McCarthy. I don't know if we're guaranteed a loss here, even though I'm not feeling good about this matchup, but nothing's guaranteed in the NFL. But we do have K-Kick coming in the building with a $2 super chat. We appreciate you, my guy, saying, what up? What up to you, K-Kick? Thank you so much for taking time of your day and supporting the show here. Shout out to you. Big O saying, sup, Pat? What's going on? Maverick saying, McCarthy is a bust. Maverick, stay tuned for our first segment. I got some words for you specifically, but we'll wait till then. Score prediction. Originally, I haven't put out the preview just yet, but we do have it filmed. I originally said 42-17. But if Andrew Van Ginkel's back, Blake Cashman's back, Jonathan Gennard should be good to go. I still think the Vikings lose this game, but I think it's more about that 30-20 range, 30-23. But hey, we'll see. Anything can happen. This would be a very Vikings win, though. Like in a game you think they have absolutely no chance, they pull a rabbit out of the hat and somehow get a victory. But we'll see what happens. When is the mailbag today? Probably about 30 minutes or so. But let me ask you guys this. How are you feeling about J.J. McCarthy returning to the starting lineup as quarterback one for this football team? I can't wait, everybody. Like I'm truly so excited. Carson wants to put his body on the line, but I was sick and tired of seeing him play football. And even all the people who are saying, like, oh, I can't wait to see Max Brosmer. Max Brosmer, he had a great preseason. He had a great training camp, but he was a UDFA for a reason. We have a top 10 pick, a quarterback, showed a lot of flashes in that Week 1 game. And I'm very optimistic that he's going to end up working out. So we'll dive into that on today's show, talk about J.J. McCarthy, talk about what you guys should expect from him. But I'm just optimistic. I really do believe he is going to be the guy in Minnesota. I think he's going to be the franchise quarterback. And it's crazy how fans are already checked out on him, where they're saying, oh, J.J. McCarthy's already a bust. Did you watch the Week 2 game against the Atlanta Falcons? You know, J.J. in that Week 2 game had the second best quarterback performance against the Falcons so far this season. They have one of the best pass defenses in the entire National Football League, and he had a half a day of practice leading up to that game on a short week, coming off an emotional win against the Chicago Bears. So obviously, he wasn't great, but everybody be patient. He's 22 years old. He turns 23 in January. I got some faith in number 9 getting it done. But we do have Colton Brady coming in saying, do you think this Vikings team at 3-4 is better than their record shows? Or is this exactly who they are, a middle squad that can't close out games? That's a great question. We'll include that on the mailbag. But do you think this Vikings team is at 3-4 is better than the record shows? No, I don't necessarily think so, because you think about the lineups that they have put out there. Like, they've dealt with a lot of injuries. Obviously, having Carson Wentz play 5 games. I think 3-4 is about right with the product they've put out there on the football field. Now, in terms of like preseason expectations, like what we thought of this team, And now with this team getting a little healthier, I think they are a better football team than a 3-4 team, but it's probably just like a slight difference of like, I think they should probably be a 4-3, 5-2 team if they had no injuries at all this season. But again, maybe that's me being a little, too optimistic about this team. But I think 3-4 is about right. But Colton, I'll give you guys more thoughts on that on our mailbag. But shout out to you, Brody. Appreciate you for sending a super chat. And then I also got my guy T Sugar saying, I don't care as much about the score this weekend. Just give me the signs that JJ can be the future. That's a great point. SKOL number 9, staying upright for the entire game and feeding number 18 and number 3 all day. Yeah, we're finally going to get the first real action of JJ McCarthy and his guy, Jordan Addison. Because, again, this is a while ago, but back in, like, OTAs, back in, mini camp, training camp, like, Jordan Addison was JJ McCarthy's go-to guy. And, having Addison out there, hopefully you have Darrisaw out there. You should have 4 of your 5 starting offensive linemen from before the season playing in this game. Should be almost fully healthy defensively, too. Like, this Vikings team, they are damn near 100% healthy. So even though, like, times are rough right now, this is going to be a whole different team than we saw last week against the Chargers because it was still Carson Wentz, Justin Skule, Walter Rouse. Like, it was just a carousel at the offensive line. So you should be getting healthy there. And then obviously getting Andrew Van Ginkel back. Like, you can't underestimate how big of an addition that is because, it's how versatile Andrew Van Ginkel is and how many different roles he plays defensively. He allows other guys on this defense who have a more condensed role. Like the one guy, honestly, I'm thinking about is a guy like Ivan Pace Jr., who he has been damn near unplayable with the Vikings with Andrew Van Ginkel out of the lineup. Now, I thought originally it was Blake Cashman kind of holding it together, but the more you start to look at it and the more you hear a bunch of these guys talk about it, like it truly is Van Ginkel. He opens up so much for the edge position, for the linebacker group. So having him back will be absolutely key. But I'm also with you. Like, the score this weekend, it will be great to get a win against the Detroit Lions. But I think more importantly, if we see flashes from J.J. McCarthy that at least there's something to build off there where it's like, all right, we might actually have a guy like, listen, I would obviously choose a Vikings win over anything this weekend, even if J.J. McCarthy looks terrible, because that would obviously mean like the defense has a great game. The Vikings are probably running the ball at a high level. But again, if you end up losing this game and J.J. shows you a bunch of signs, like that still could be a huge positive coming out of this game, even though the Vikings would be 3-5. But T-Sugar, I appreciate you. And then, like I said, we are going to be getting into a mailbag. So just use hashtag Vikings, or if you guys want to super chat like some of the real ones did, that would be greatly appreciated. Gink watches interview. He does not sound promising that he is playing. I did listen to that, but he was practicing in full today. So I would probably guess there's like a 75% chance AVG goes. Brady then. That's where I'll probably stick it at. But, we'll just wait and see it happens. Like, obviously, dealing with a neck injury, like, this could honestly be something where it's like, hey, how do you feel when you wake up on game day? So I'm assuming he'll be listed as questionable for the Lions game, and then we'll get that full, report probably an hour before kickoff of that game. Is Connor Vikings in the building? What's going on? Big O saying KOCS open up playbook for JJ. We'll talk about that here coming up, and we'll also get you guys the latest injury news. And I do want to talk about the Vikings potentially being sellers at the NFL trade deadline. Guys like TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, Javon Hargrave. The Vikings do end up losing this game to the Lions, which is very well on the table. Talk about them being sellers. And like I said, mailbag coming up here in about 30 minutes or so. So get those questions in. And then if you guys could hit that thumbs up icon. We're at 30 likes right now. If we could just get 5 more likes, we'll start today's show. Is Bloody Soup saying that is exactly right. The Vikings still need to be competitive looking at least. Yeah, that's also like with the Vikings getting fully healthy here, like if they get drilled by the Detroit Lions, I would be very concerned. And that's very much on the table. Lions are a good team, and they're probably going to try to roll the Vikings coming off a bye. They're at home playing a division rival, but man, if the Vikings can somehow win this football game, you're 2-0 in the division. You get the 4-4. You got a Ravens team rolling into your building. Next Sunday at home. Then you got the Bears at home. Then you got 2 tough road games against the Packers and the Seahawks. So, everything is still on the table. Like this Vikings team, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent on this team. They just got to start playing better. And that's why it's been so frustrating so far this season. But we'll see what happens. As Lego Fellow is saying, I don't see a world where it's not belt to ass. I tend to agree with you. But again, any given Sunday in the NFL, man. Any given Sunday. All right, we just got up to 46 likes. So we appreciate you guys. If you guys are ready to rock and roll, give me those skulls down below in the live chat. And we'll give you guys the latest Vikings injury news and also some updates on J.J. McCarthy. Actually, we'll get the Colton here first, and then we'll dive into today's show. No need to throw it up. I can just read this out loud. Colton saying, if the Vikings make the playoffs again, what's the one move, not draft pick, that could flip this franchise into a legit contender? Colton, I'm going to wait on that for our mailbag. I like that question a lot. I'll give you a full in-depth answer here in about 30 minutes or so. That's a good question. I'm going to ask you if you could let me think about that here for a little bit. But Colton, shout out to you. If you guys are ready to rock and roll, give me those SKOLs down below, and let's dive into it. What's going on, everybody? You were watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we got some great Vikings injury news, specifically that guy with the beautiful hair, Andrew Van Ginkel. It sounded like he's going to be playing this weekend, so we'll talk about that, talk about his impact, and then also with J.J. McCarthy, back his QB1 for the Minnesota Vikings. I want to get you guys 5 things you should expect from number 9 this weekend. But I do want to start off here with a quote from J.J. McCarthy. He was asked on how he's feeling, if he is confident heading into this game, and this is what he had to say. He said, extremely confident. Every time we step out there, it's the work that we put in every single week. It's the trust of my teammates and coaches, and all of that's been at an all-time high. It sucks not being able to get the reps and you be able to continue to progress all the fundamentals and all the little things, but there were a lot of areas that, I picked up on and I think I benefited from. Just watching and observing from the sidelines, so extremely confident and ready to get after it. And I'm going to give all of you guys one last chance because I honestly feel like if you polled Vikings fans right now, how are you feeling about J.J. McCarthy? I bet you 75% of them would say, I'm not feeling good. And I'm not saying you're, in the wrong for not feeling good about J.J., but I'm also a believer in this guy. I know what he's made of. He's built right between the ears, and I think he still has a very good chance to be the franchise quarterback of this Vikings team. He has played 2 games. The one game against the Falcons, you could pretty much just chalk that up to just being a throwaway. That was a short week. He had a half a day of practice. He just became a dad the Thursday night before that matchup. He had a lot working against him. No Jordan Addison in that game. No Christian Darrisaw. So there wasn't a lot working in J.J. McCarthy's favor. And also the Falcons, turns out they got one of the best pass defenses in the league. But still, with the flashes we saw in that fourth quarter against the Chicago Bears, that's the J.J. McCarthy that I think we'll get a lot more of as the season progresses. And, I do really think this, some fans, it almost seems like they want him to fail. If you just go on social media, if you're on Twitter in the YouTube comment section, it really does seem like some fans are just saying, man, J.J. McCarthy's already a bust, and they almost want to be proven right with their takes instead of supporting this kid. I mean, if you just go on the Vikings Twitter page and just go under the comments of, him giving that quote that I just showed to you guys, everybody's saying, oh, this guy stinks. He's not going to work out, another Vikings bust, and I just think it's ludicrous. We have no idea how good this guy is. I'm not saying I'm right saying he is going to be good, but also I'm saying you're not right by saying he's going to be bad. We have truly no idea. So we'll talk about JJ on the second half of today's show, but before we dive into the latest injury news about Andrew Van Ginkel and a couple of key guys on the roster, if you guys could, hit that subscribe button today. We're taking on our Lions Talk channel in a Week 9 subscriber battle, and they got the 16 subscriber lead right now. So if you guys are brand new here, hit that subscribe button today. We will keep you guys posted with everything around your Minnesota Vikings, so hit that sub button today. All right, let's talk about the latest Vikings injury report here. So we got Wednesday and Thursday. C.J. Ham, DNPs throughout the week. He probably won't be out there. Jeff Okudah, he probably won't be out there. Same with Josh Oliver. He was already ruled out for this game, but some great updates from Wednesday to Thursday. Jonathan Grenard, he was limited. Now he's practicing in full. And we also got Isaiah Rodgers still limited. Brian O'Neill still limited, but there are reports out there that he is going to be good to go. Now, Christian Darrisaw was a full on Wednesday, but a DNP on Thursday. That's just a mandatory rehab progress with his coming off that torn ACL. But big-time news here. J.J. McCarthy practicing in full, but more importantly, Andrew Van Ginkel practicing in full. And I want to tell the world that we are back up because Andrew Van Ginkel is back. I think he's got probably about a 75% chance of playing this game. Now, I do also believe that this is probably something where he will be listed as questionable heading into this game, and then we'll get that final update once the inactives come out for that game against the Detroit Lions. But we obviously know how important this guy is to the Brian Flores system. If you had to ask Flores who is the most important player to your defense, I think you would say Andrew Van Ginkel by a wide margin. Now, Jonathan Grenard, still probably the best player on defense, but if you had to say the most important cog in the system, it's AVG, and frankly, I don't even think it's close. So having him back out there will be absolutely massive. Can't understate that. And then also having this guy potentially back out there playing all the reps should be huge. Christian Darrisaw, he needs to stay healthy. Now, I think he had a heroic rehab kind of comeback story coming off this torn ACL. I mean, he got hurt in week 7 last year, tearing that ACL and MCL, and he was already back out there in week 3. So it's going to be good to have him back. And Christian Darrisaw gave some comments about him last week, saying it was a short week last week. I tried to give it a go. The body didn't respond how I wanted it to, so that's a big reason why he left that game early in the first half. But I'm guessing he'll be back out there because mainly what Kevin O'Connell had to say. He said, I do feel positive where both Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw are today, and hopefully in regards to their work week. So you're probably going to have both tackles back, which will be huge because obviously you got to keep J.J. McCarthy upright. And, for the sake of J.J. McCarthy, not only one, keeping him healthy, but also two, just getting him the protection he needs because these young quarterbacks in the NFL, if they're getting peppered constantly with big-time hits, it can kill this guy's confidence. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully he has both starting tackles out there, and hopefully this Vikings offensive line. Like, remember that feeling we had in this offseason when we're looking at that graphic where it's like Darrisaw, O'Neal, Fries, Donovan Jackson, Ryan Kelly. You should have 4 of the 5 out there. Obviously, Ryan Kelly, TBD, if he'll ever play again for the Minnesota Vikings, but you're probably going to have Blake Brandel or Michael Juergens starting at center, but still, at the end of the day, you'll have 4 of the 5 guys, which would be huge for that guy right there, J.J. McCarthy. And, Jonathan Gennard, it would obviously be a huge loss if he is not able to go, but, dealing with the hamstring injury, obviously a tricky injury to navigate. Hopefully he's able to get ready and get out there and play at 110% because, the Vikings defense this season, some interesting stats here because I think a lot of people say, like, oh, the Vikings haven't been able to get home to the quarterback. That's not really the case. Like, they've been able to get home to the quarterback, but they've been able to bring him down. Like, in 2024, the Vikings had a 14.58% pressure sack percentage on pressures, which is one of the highest in the National Football League. Now, again, this is only a 2% difference, but this drops their league rankings down a whole lot. 18 sacks on 140 pressures. So you're still able to generate a lot of pressures, but you just got to be able to get home. And the Vikings are still one of the best teams at getting home to the quarterback. Pass rush win rate in 2025 right now is 47%. That is 3rd in the National Football League. But if you guys remember, the first drive of the entire season, when Vikings were out on defense first, taking on the Chicago Bears on Monday night, you guys remember Caleb Williams, he was dancing around the pocket. He was able to extend plays. He was able to make guys miss, and the Vikings weren't able to get home. I don't know if, like, Dallas Turner and Jonathan Gennard think these quarterbacks are wearing a red practice jersey and they can't bring them down. They just need to get better at bringing the quarterback down because they're able to get home. Like, Jalen Redmond's been fantastic. Levi Drake Rodriguez has been fantastic. But you just need those edge rushers. AVG, Dallas Turner, Jonathan Gennard. Go sack Jared Goff, a couple of times this weekend. We should be set up for success. And, if you're starting to look at this Vikings roster top to bottom, they're almost 100% healthy. And there are really no excuses for the staff and roster anymore. I understand. It is a tough spot. You're going to go play the Lions in Detroit, a team that has owned you over the last couple of years, and also add on the fact that they're coming off a bye. I understand this is not an easy spot, but also a blowout loss could completely derail this season. Where if you go out there and you lose 42-17, it's just going to be tough. Like, to keep these guys locked in, to keep these players motivated. So I am not saying I'm feeling optimistic about this game because I'm really not. Like, the Lions have owned you. They're still one of the better football teams in the NFL. I honestly still think they're the second best team in the NFL behind the Kansas City Chiefs. But a blowout loss could really derail this season. But if you could somehow shock the world, shock yourselves probably, and get a win in Detroit, just like the opposite end of the spectrum, maybe that could spark this Vikings team going on a run. But with all those guys getting healthy, like Andrew Van Ginkel probably going to be back. You're going to have 4 of your 5 starting offensive linemen. You're going to have your starting quarterback back. There's really no excuse for Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores. Those are going to be the 2 guys that are probably under the pressure cooker this weekend, where if the Vikings do get blown out, the guys that are getting most blame will be the coaching staff because you set up this roster for yourselves, and all these guys will be out there. So hopefully they go out there and perform. But let me ask you guys this. Weigh in for me. What is your confidence level in the Vikings beating the Lions? Scale it for me, 1 through 100 down below. Right now, I think I said this earlier this week. I think it was at like a 3 or 4%. I think I'm up to about 11, 12%. 11, 12% in terms of my confidence the Vikings beating the Lions. But you guys, let me know your thoughts. Scale it for me, 1 through 100. All right, coming up next year on the show, we're going to talk about what you guys should expect from J.J. McCarthy. Making his first start since week 2 against the Atlanta Falcons. A lot, working into this. We'll discuss him in full here in a second. But before we do so, I got to give a massive shout out to today's presenting sponsor, one of my favorite sponsors here on Vikings Now, and that is Harry's, a shaving company, and they have a sweet new razor. And for a limited time, our listeners here at Vikings Now can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/chat. Now, did your old razors go way too dull, way too fast? And plus, did they irritate your neck? Well, that's not the case here at Harry's. And also, some other razors cost way too much. $30 for 8 refills. It sounds like a total scam to me, and that's not the case here at Harry's. And I was completely blown away my first time shaving with Harry's. They have an advanced pivoting system where they reach every corner of your face with a refined blade tech for a closer, smoother shave and a weighted metal handle for added control and comfort. And actually, fun fact, it's Harry's heaviest handle ever. So it just gives you guys more control when you're trying to get that close, precise shave on your face. So for a limited time, our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/chat. This set includes the all-new Harry's Plus razor, one refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming shave gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Just head to harrys.com/chat to claim this offer. And after you purchase, the last word you heard about them, please support our show, Vikings Now by Chat Sports, and tell them we sent you. But massive shout out to Harry's for sponsoring today's show. That link for you guys will be in the comments section and description of today's show. All right, so the number one thing you guys should expect from J.J. McCarthy in this game is a whole lot of moxie, a whole lot of alphaness, a whole lot of confidence. Like, you guys felt that from that quote I gave you early on today's show. And I'll never forget Troy Aikman back in week 1. He was talking about J.J., and it was when J.J. was coming off. He was screaming on the sideline just because you felt that competitive nature and that's just that want that he has to go out there and win football games. You felt it through the TV screen. And Troy Aikman said, this kid's got a lot of moxie. He was going on to say he won a national championship for a reason. You can't go out there and win a natty without having that confidence, without having that moxie. So I just think that energy that JJ will bring to this locker room and the rest of his team will be on full display. So I can't wait. Maybe runs one in. He gives a scream in Detroit. And also, this kid's undefeated in the state of Michigan in college. So hopefully that stays on course this weekend. But number 2, we should all expect some mistakes. Like, this is not going to be a clean game by any means for JJ. He's going against a good defensive coordinator and Kelvin Shepard, a good defense. They get home to the quarterback at a high level. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson, one of the better defensive edge rushers in the whole National Football League. And they also, if their secondary is healthy, they can get sticky in coverage. Like Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, like they got some guys that can really defend on the outsides at a high level. And they've also, last year they kind of had Jefferson's number. So there will be mistakes. He will probably throw an interception. He'll probably have a fluky turnover. Probably have, a couple of, false starts, just not getting the guys orchestrated. But that's just the natural progressions of learning how to be a true NFL quarterback. But hopefully we do see some flashes. I think that's going to be, huge because obviously I want the Vikings to win no matter what. Like, that's the number one thing I want to see from this game is the Vikings leave Detroit with a victory. But also, you got to see some flashes because if you don't, then that could be pretty concerning. But also, J.J. McCarthy's fourth quarter during week 1 showed some major flashes of elite potential. He was firing the football on all 3 levels of the football field. He was checking it down in the flat. He was attacking the middle of the field. He was attacking the corners, and then he was also attacking deep with that one touchdown pass he had to Aaron Jones and also to Justin Jefferson. So we saw those flashes in week 1, and hopefully we see a lot more in week 9 versus the Detroit Lions. Then also this, how about the dual threat ability? I think that's something that Kevin O'Connell clearly wanted to incorporate in the offense. And I still, this was probably, it's so funny how quickly we have changed our thoughts on KOC this season. But I thought this was one of KO's, best play calls of the year. Was it against the Chicago Bears week 1? It was that read option on that 3rd and 2 situation. J.J. McCarthy ended up running in the end zone, gave the Vikings a 26-17 lead. And I expect KOC to use his legs a whole lot. Whether that's just like designed rollouts, bootlegs going the other way. Maybe they kind of use him, even though Kirk wasn't nearly the athlete that JJ was. But remember, they were moving Kirk outside the pocket a lot back in the day, trying to get him easier looks. And then also on short yardage situations, like you got to count for his legs. So I could see the Vikings going back to that, and hopefully KO does, because that is one advantage JJ has over a guy like Carson Wentz. He's a dual threat quarterback, so watch his legs to be on full display. And then also, hopefully we just see growth play the play, because that's what we saw against the Chicago Bears. The first 3 quarters were absolutely horrific. We can just call it like it is. And that 4th quarter, he really turned it around. We saw that swagger. We saw that elite playmaking ability. So hopefully we see that on full display this weekend against the Lions. But those are all 5 things that you guys should expect from him. It's It's not going to be completely smooth. There will be a lot of mistakes, but again, at the end of the day, hopefully we see those flashes. And I'm just excited to watch this kid go out there and play some football this weekend. And if you guys are as well, show JJ McCarthy some love down below in the comment section. Give me those 9s. I should see a whole lot of 9s on today's show. Then also just a friendly reminder, we will be going live here on the channel for the Vikings-Lions game. We'll be going live about an hour before kickoff, so make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Tune in then. Going to be a lot of fun. So hit that subscribe button today. We'd appreciate it if all of you guys tuned in. And we'll get on out of here. We'll see you guys next time. As always, SKOL Vikes. All right, you guys let me know. How are you feeling about J.J. McCarthy? I'm excited to watch him play this weekend. Even though we're a 3-4 football team, like, we got a young quarterback that was a top 10 pick that's got a whole lot of potential. And hopefully we're able to watch him develop here. But Colton saying this earlier, if the Vikings miss the playoffs again, what's a one move, not draft pick, that could flip this franchise into a legit contender? Colton, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here. I don't know if there is a move the Vikings can make, like one singular move. Like, obviously, like the one singular move would be like, oh, go trade for Joe Burrow if he asks out of Cincinnati or for some whatever reason. But I just don't think there is one move with how strapped they are against the cap in terms of them just, flipping themselves from missing the playoffs to being a true contender. I think a lot of it's going to come down to, Colton, is just like, J.J. McCarthy developing. Like, if J.J. McCarthy can show leaps every single week for the rest of the season, and hopefully they're able, to, head into next year where you're feeling confident about the quarterback position. But if you guys got any more questions for me, use hashtag Vikings or Super Chat to get up on today's show. We would appreciate it if you guys could get those questions in there. Just hashtag Vikings in the live chat. Or if you guys want to Super Chat like a bunch of the real ones did, I would greatly appreciate that as well. Yeah, no, David, I'm hoping, like, I think people forget how much of an athlete J.J. McCarthy is. Like, even at Michigan, I'll never forget that one game-winning drive he had against Nick Saban in Alabama in the Rose Bowl college football semifinal. Down 7 late in the game, 4 minutes left. He picked up multiple first downs with his legs, and also one of them, he had one play on, it was 1st and 10, QB power to the right. He follows his blockers very, very well. Like, he is just a naturally good runner, a naturally good athlete. And I just hopefully, you guys start to believe in this kid, because I really do. And it is a little disappointing that most of this fan base is already kind of chalking him up to be a bust. It's like, guys, shut the hell up. He's played 2 games. Like, can't we just give this kid a break? I mean, he is 22 years old. He's also probably got some of the most pressure on him in the entire NFL, making his 3rd career start on the road against the Lions, coming off a bye. Everybody pump the brakes here a little bit. But Garrett Russborough coming in, saying JJ is the future. I believe in him. Everyone have to be patient with him. Expect JJ, the JJ connection, to fire up. SKOL. SKOL. Shout out to Garrett. Yeah, Justin Jefferson doesn't have a touchdown catch since that week 1 game against the Chicago Bears, which is, obviously a little concerning. Jefferson's never been a high touchdown guy in his NFL career. He's always just been obviously high receptions, high receiving yards guy. So hopefully JJ's able to find him a couple of times. But I'm calling it right now. Jordan Addison's going to catch the first touchdown this weekend. I think Addison's going to have a big-time game. He had that connection with JJ going a whole lot this offseason, but hopefully that's on full display here in Detroit. So coming up, we are going to be talking about the Vikings being sellers at the deadline if this game against the Detroit Lions doesn't go well. And then, like I said, we'll get into a mailbag here shortly. So if you guys got any questions that you guys are dying to ask, hashtag Vikings or Super Chat to get up on today's show. Shout out to Colton Brady. I appreciate you. Same with George. Thanks for getting a question in there. Will our GM draft good this year? If you're just going off track record, probably not, but we'll see. Also, there's some whispers in the Vikings organization that Kwesi could be on the way out, but they could also keep Kevin O'Connell. So that probably be another story for next week, but we'll talk about that. But I do want to dive into this next show. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Talk about the latest Vikings trade rumors. Let's do it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Patrick Siepman. And coming up on today's show, I want to talk about if the Vikings could be major sellers at the NFL trade deadline if they end up losing to the Detroit Lions. Now, I only think the way the Vikings would be major sellers, where they're moving off a lot of the key veterans of this team, is if the Lions completely blast the Vikings and they put BTA to them in Detroit this Sunday, where I'm talking the final score is 42-17, because the Vikings are, frankly, almost 100% healthy on both sides of the football now, so I don't really think there's really any excuse to get blown out. But the bookmakers out west, they think it's going to be a blowout. They have the Lions. This line's been floating around 8.5, 9.5 throughout the week. And also, if you check out on DraftKings, where majority of the money is coming in, 99% of money line handles are on the Lions. And so I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Obviously, people are trying to add the Lions to their parlays, but 91% of spread bets are on the Lions this weekend, which is insane. This is a divisional matchup with a double possession point spread, and people are hammering the Lions. So hopefully Vegas rakes in this weekend, and hopefully the Vikings go out there and get a win. And speaking about them getting a win, if you guys want the Vikes to beat the Lions this weekend, give me a thumbs up on today's video. I would greatly appreciate it. Trying to get the good vibes going. Don't want to jinx us too much. And plus, they win against the Lions. It would feel so sweet here this weekend. So if you guys want the Vikes to beat the Lions, go down there, hit that thumbs up icon. All right, so the first veteran we're going to talk about here is going to be number 33, Aaron Jones. Now, Jeremy Fowler wrote up an interesting article talking about some notable trade candidates on the Minnesota Vikings, and he mentioned Aaron Jones. That's what he had to say. Running back Aaron Jones, moving on from Jones, might be more about saving money than anything else. He is owed just over $1 million in 2025 and has $2 million of his $10 million compensation in 2026 guaranteed, a deal the Vikings are likely to move on from this offseason. Would a team like the Chargers be willing to essentially pay $3 million to have Jones in its lineup for the rest of 2025? And, if the Vikings do lose, and I love Aaron Jones, he's great for this locker room, but, you definitely got to consider it. Like, Aaron Jones, he's not the lead back anymore. I was still shocked in that Thursday game against the Chargers when the first Vikings offensive possession that they had Aaron Jones out there compared to Jordan Mason. I didn't frankly understand that call at all because, Jordan Mason has looked like the better back all season. Even if you're going off rushing yards over expected, Jordan Mason, he's plus 60. Aaron Jones is far in the negative. So even the advanced analytics are suggesting that Jordan Mason's a better running back. And if you guys just go watch the tape or even just watch the highlights on YouTube, you don't even need to watch all 22 version. Like, you can clearly see Jordan Mason is a more dominant, more physical runner. So I think you should lean into Mason more the rest of the season. And if a team's calling for Aaron Jones, might as well get a draft pick because you're probably going to lose him or cut him next offseason anyway, so might as well get what you can. And I just still can't believe that they decided to extend him. Like, yes, Aaron Jones had 1,500 all-purpose yards last year. He had 1,100 on the ground, 450 through the air. But we also saw it the second half of last season. Like, he definitely hit a wall. Now, I'm sure the Vikings front office, their thought process was, all right, we're just going to chalk this up to, him being banged up. And if you brought in Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones could be a nice complimentary back, which very well could be true. And again, if the Vikings win this game, these conversations are dead. But if they lose, they get blown out, might as well try to get a draft pick. And honestly, if you could just get a 7th for Aaron Jones, it's probably going to be the calling card or asking price for him anyways. You probably just have to take that and absolutely run away with it because, just the ability to move off his contract could be huge. And, the financial impact of Aaron Jones, like the Vikings, could save just a little bit of money. You could save about $400,000 on the cap next season. If you trade him pre-June 1, so it also includes this year, you in 2026, your dead cap would be $6.8 million, but then you end up saving it anyways, getting $7.2 million. So you would open up $400,000. Again, not that much, but the point of trading Aaron Jones was just the fact that you wouldn't have him on your books for around $7 million this upcoming season. So I would trade Aaron Jones if you do end up losing this Sunday. Love Aaron Jones. He was great for the Minnesota Vikings, but I just think it would be the right move. But you guys let me know what you would do. Would you trade Aaron Jones? Give me a T for trade. Give me a P for pass. You guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I'll make this the pinned comment on today's show. So you guys let me know your thoughts. All right, we'll talk about TJ Hawkinson and then also Javon Hargrave here in a second. But today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick up to the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. For example, if you guys want to pick more on J.J. McCarthy's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns this weekend, well, now you can't pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. You guys can also follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app, copy their lineups in one click, whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like. Hit that follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new Feed tab on Prize Picks. And download the Prize Picks app today. Plug in that promo code CLNS. We'll hook you guys up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CONS to get $50 in lineups after you put your first $5 lineup. But massive shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, first trade candidate we're going to talk about here on the second half of today's show. We're going to start off with tight end TJ Hockenson. Now, TJ Hockenson, he's been pretty disappointing since he tore his knee a couple of seasons ago. And, obviously, still 28 years old, still technically in his athletic prime, but he has definitely looked like he has taken a step back. And there are reports out there that the Los Angeles Rams are showing interest in him, also the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so there's two teams calling about TJ Hockenson. Again, there's no confirmation about this. There's kind of, speculation out there on the internet, but it would make some sense for the Rams to have some interest there. Obviously they drafted Terrence Ferguson early on this past draft, but he hasn't been playing a whole lot for them. They still have Tyler Higbee, Colby Parkinson, and Davis Allen, but, obviously having that connection, Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, I'm sure Sean McVay is probably saying, man, if we could just somehow get TJ, for a 6th, 7th round pick swap, probably end up taking it. And you may be saying, well, why would the Vikings have any interest in trading TJ Hockenson? Well, you would save a whole lot of money. Obviously in 2026, you wouldn't save a lot, but it's still better than having him on the books for around $20 million. And you'd obviously take on a dead cap hit, but you would really be making this move to save a lot of money and open up some space in 2027, where the dead cap hit would only be $7 million, and the 2027 cap savings would be around $16 million. So you'd be saving, a good amount of money there. And, I've been saying this for a couple of years now. The Vikings need to send a premium draft pick on a tight end because these tight ends nowadays are coming out and they're hitting at an all-time rate. I mean, even take the 5th rounder out of Syracuse, Gadsden, who cooked the Vikings last week. He was taken in the 5th round. Mason Taylor, who the Jets took in the 2nd round. He looks like a good player. And obviously, Tyler Warren looks like one of the better tight ends in the NFL already. So the Vikings, go spend a premium draft pick on a tight end. You want to get J.J. McCarthy, that guy? Well, go get him that guy in the draft. These tight ends, they're hitting at an all-time rate right now, so might as well try the strike. Well, the iron is hot. And you already extended Josh Oliver this offseason, gave him a 3-year, $23 million deal. So he will be one of the tight ends for the future. So I don't really think they have too much interest in, keeping TJ Hockenson with him. But again, if the Vikings win this weekend and Hawk has a good game and he starts to turn back the clock a little bit, then you got Hawk and Oliver. I still like that combination as Hawk being a true pass catcher, Oliver being the best run blocking tight end in the league. I do like that idea. I just think that's probably going to be the one bombshell move where it's like, oh my God, the Vikings are actually trading TJ Hockenson. I could see that happening before the NFL trade deadline, especially if they lose this weekend. But you guys, let me know your thoughts. Would you trade TJ Hockenson? Give me a T for trade. Give me a P for pass. You guys, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. All right, second veteran we're going to talk about here. How about a little Javon Hargrave? Now, obviously, Javon Hargrave has been wildly disappointing. It's funny. The Vikings Twitter page put out a little picture for Halloween saying the grave digger, and everybody was just kind of ripping Hargrave in the comments section, which was, obviously, I'm sure he didn't love that. But, why would you trade Hargrave is you would just get him off the books for next year. It's about even in terms of dead cap and savings. You would save $50,000. So, obviously wouldn't be, too much in savings, but it would just be the point of getting him off the books. And I'm sure another team is probably going to try to convince themselves where it's like, you know what, maybe Javon Hargrave, get him for a 7th round pick, veteran in the league. He's made a lot of good plays throughout his career. Have him just kind of be a rotational defensive lineman. And we've also seen his snaps, really take a hit over the last 4 weeks. Week 4 against the Steelers, he was playing 40 snaps. Week 5, 33. But then these past 2 weeks, he's necessarily just playing 30% of snaps. 18 against the Eagles. Chargers, he only played 22. And I think it's kind of for 2 reasons. One, Hargrave hasn't been that good. But then also Jalen Redmond's been fantastic. I know all of us are, looking on the negative of Hargrave and Jonathan Allen, they haven't lived up to those contracts they signed, which is 100% true. But also you have a guy like Jalen Redmond who's playing great football. And I love that they're playing him 62 snaps against the LA Chargers because he's been one of the best interior defensive linemen in the league. Right now, according to PFF, he is the 6th best pass rush grade in the entire NFL, sitting at 79.6 and 280 snaps so far this season. Overall, he's ranked 15th. And honestly, sometimes I'm looking at this and I'm like, maybe it's too low because this guy just wins on every single rep out there. His pressure rate, win percentage, 17.6%. His win rate percentage as a whole, combined with his pressure rate and his run stopping rate, is at 14.3%. So he is winning a whole lot, and he is getting consistent push, and he has really been the lone, bright spot on this defense in terms of guys who we, obviously I thought Redmond had a chance to break out, but he's even been better than I thought. And also his running mate, another young defensive tackle for this team. Levi Drake Rodriguez. ESPN does a statistic where it's defensive tackle, run stop, win rate rankings, and both these guys, they're tied for sixth in the whole NFL. Like, this isn't just NFC, this isn't just NFC North. These are all defensive tackles. And Jalen Redmond, 42%, tied for sixth. LDR, 42%, tied for sixth. So these guys are playing some good football. So again, not feeling too good about Allen and Hargrave, but at least we got these two guys behind them. And they're honestly making it hard to keep them off the football field, especially a guy like Jalen Redmond. He has truly been fantastic. But if you guys want to show Jalen Redmond some love, give me those 61s. Type his jersey number down below in the comment section. I'd appreciate it if you guys could. And we'll get on out of here. Shout out to all of you guys for tuning in. As always, SKOL Vikings. All right, you guys, let me know your thoughts on TJ Hockenson. Would you trade for TJ? Give me a T for trade or give me a P for pass. A lot of you guys saying P, a lot of you guys saying T. I think if the Vikings lose this weekend, you definitely got to consider it. Definitely not the same guy, but again, it all comes on this weekend. This weekend is huge for this Vikings team because if they lose, like it could get pretty sticky. Trade before a fourth round or a third. You're not going to get a third or a fourth out of TJ. I saw some people on Twitter being like, "Oh, the Vikings should get a fourth round pick for TJ Hockenson." Are you guys out of your damn mind? Like, TJ Hockenson with his contract and the way he's been playing this year, like, you would be lucky to get a fifth round pick out of him, let alone a fourth or a third. So I think probably the compensation will probably end up being maybe you get 2 6-round picks and you send a seventh and TJ Hockenson back. At least that's what I probably think it's going to be. TJ Hockenson is like JJ McCarthy's emergency bag, but I still say to trade him. Some Vikes YouTubers said a second-round pick for TJ Hockenson. Hopefully you're not watching their channel anymore. I think that's absolutely ludicrous. I mean to call that guy out, but that's just absolutely insane. You're not getting a second-round pick for TJ Hockenson. The Vikings gave up a second-round pick for TJ Hockenson a couple years ago. Like, you're not going to get a second in return. So that's just pretty ludicrous. But again, we'll dive into a mailbag here coming up in just a second. So if you guys got a question for me, hashtag Vikings or super chat to get up on today's show. Purple for the win said a second-round pick for TJ Hockenson. I respect his work, but that's a little insane. It's a little insane. Again, listen, I hope he's right. I just don't think that's the situation at all. I feel like fans of teams, and I try to do my best job at this, you overvalue your own players a whole lot. Where in terms of when I talk about trade rumors, like, I haven't seen people say, like, oh, the Vikes get a fourth-round pick for Aaron Jones. You're out of your damn mind. You're getting a seventh-round pick for him. Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing if you're saying second-round pick for TJ Hockenson. Man, I wish. I wish, but that's just insane, man. That's just insane. Yeah, a little delusional. But again, I hope you're right. But that's just insane. I take a seventh-round pick in the cap space. Me too. Braden Beast coming in with a $2 super chat saying, bring in Samuel Jr. over Okudah. Yeah, Okuda's the lowest graded corner according to PFF so far. So he is this whole experiment of, Okudah wasn't good on the outside. We'll try him at nickel a whole lot. He gets killed in the nickel. Then you bump him outside for a couple plays against the Chargers, and he's just getting absolutely cooked. Prop 2 7th-round picks for Hawk. I think you could get a 6 for him. You are definitely not getting a second-round pick, though. I'll tell you that. 100% not. Again, that's just like I don't know what you call it. It's fans with players on their teams, like they just overvalue them. It's just natural as a fan to do that, but we'll see. Yeah, Braden Beast. I mean, Asante Samuel's clearly got something going on with that neck shoulder thing, so I think there's a better chance that he retires than he plays again in the NFL. Trade Addison for Quinnen Williams. It's an interesting idea. I think both teams. I mean, the Vikings might say yes to that. Vikings should say yes to that. It's an interesting idea, though. Interesting idea. 4th round at best, guys. You're not getting a 4th round pick for TJ Hockenson. I can be very confident saying that. Very confident. We got some 6-7s rolling in. Shout out to you. We need a whole new O-line. We'll see. We'll see about the offensive line. But again, mailbag coming up. Hashtag Vikings or super chat to get up on today's show. Would appreciate you. Phil saying maybe a center. Phil, I was trying to check out your profile pic. Last year, you said a third. That was last year, Brady. That was last year. A lot can change in the NFL year to year. And again, I was probably overvaluing Hawk back then, saying the Vikes could get a third from him. I mean, I think they would be lucky to get 2.6 for TJ Hawkinson. During the draft last year, yeah, well, I was saying they should get a third for TJ. Like, I was saying if a third-round pick's on the table, go ahead, take that third-round pick, draft a tight end. I know, Brian O'Neill is getting sneaky old. He has still been amazing. It's Arthur Morgan. Oh, from, yes. From Red Dead. Yes. I thought I recognized that. All right, we're going to dive into this mailbag here. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in today. Great audience, great interaction with you guys, as always. So, again, last call to get up on the mailbag. Just use hashtag Vikings or Super Chat to get up on today's show. It would be greatly appreciated. Reed Southern saying it's mailbag time. Yes, sir, Reed. Yes, sir. Let's chop it up about your Minnesota Vikings. Then we'll get on out of here. You guys enjoy your weekends. And we'll be back Sunday versus the Lions for hopefully a really, really fun game. I'm sure nothing's going to go wrong in Detroit like it always does. It always goes well in Detroit under Kevin O'Connell. But let's do it. Let's dive into this mailbag. What's going on, everybody? You are watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Patrick Siepman. And coming up on today's show, we're just going to dive into a good old-fashioned Minnesota Vikings mailbag where you guys ask me questions about our favorite football team. It's just me and you chopping it up about the Minnesota Vikings. But first question coming in here from SKOLinator with probably the best profile pick of all time. Absolutely love that. Would you attach 2 first-round picks with Dallas Turner for Myles Garrett? Okay, so we're at that point of the NFL trade deadline. Listen, there was a report out there that the Browns could potentially deal Myles Garrett. I don't think it's going to happen. But in terms of attaching 2 first and Dallas Turner for Myles Garrett, if the Vikings win on Sunday, I would say abso-freaking-lutely. I mean, Myles Garrett is the best defensive player in the league, and Dallas Turner has not worked out whatsoever with the Vikings. But again, giving up 2 first-round picks with a team, like I'm not saying the Vikings are in a rebuild, but you're not technically rebuilding. I don't know. The Vikings are in freaking no man's land right now. That's why it's tough to, evaluate what they're going to do. But if it was just like in a vacuum, like 2 first-round picks and Dallas Turner for Myles Garrett, yeah, sign me up for that any day of the week. I mean, Myles Garrett is that good. I mean, the guy had 5 sacks this past weekend. He's an absolute stud. So I would do it. 1, I don't think the Browns would. And 2, I also don't know if, like, right now with where the state of the Vikings are, if that makes, a whole lot sense for the Vikes to go, really big fish hunting at the NFL trade deadline. But SKOLinator, appreciate you. Colton Brady saying, do you think this Vikings team at 3-4 is better than their record shows, or is this exactly who they are, a middle squad that can't close out games? Yeah, this is a good question, Colton. I do appreciate you. Yeah, I definitely think the Vikings record kind of shows really what they've been so far this season. Like, honestly, you're kind of lucky to be 3-4. Like, you probably should have lost week 1 to the Bears. You probably should have lost, to the Cleveland Browns. So I think 3-4 is good. But in terms of, like, if this team stayed fully healthy throughout the season, I think a record would be a lot better than 3-4. Again, maybe it's just 4-3. Maybe it's 5-2. I don't think you would get the 6-1. But yeah, maybe you could have been 5-2. Like against the Eagles, like you had every right to win that game. And even against the Pittsburgh Steelers, like if you're fully healthy in that one, where you have the whole offensive line, where you have the defense, you have a good chance to win that football game as well. But I think right now, with what the Vikings have put on display, with the performance this coaching staff has had, and all the injuries they've been dealing with, like, I can honestly say they're probably lucky to be 3-4, but this is especially getting healthy this week, this is not a 3-4 football team rolling in Detroit. I think they are a little undervalued right now. Still not a good football team, but not, 3-4, like 10-point underdogs in Detroit like they are right now. Reed Southern saying, what do you have to say about our offensive line? What do you think needs to happen about it? Number 1, I think you need to fire your offensive line coach, Chris Cupper. Other offensive linemen have left the Minnesota Vikings and have looked fantastic. And other offensive linemen who have looked great other organizations have came to the Vikings and looked bad. Like Ed Ingram left, looks pretty good. Garrett Bradbury left, he looks pretty good. Will Fries comes in. He doesn't look like the same guy that he was with the Indianapolis Colts. But honestly, I still think, like, just like this entire Vikings team, like, you really don't know. Like, that's why this has truly felt like a season from hell because it's been tough to evaluate this team. Like, you think about all the moving around that this offensive line has dealt with, like, not only week to week, but, like, literally in the middle of the games. Like, how many times has Christian Darrisaw been pulled out of game now? Or Brian O'Neill's had to leave? Where then you're throwing in Justin School, you're throwing in Walter Rouse randomly in these games. Like, it's kind of tough to evaluate these guys. You also got a first-round rookie in Donovan Jackson developing where he has also struggled a little bit this year. Will Fries hasn't lived up to that 5-year, $88 million contract. So, what do I have to say about it? Needs to be better. What do you think needs to happen? Get healthy. I think that'll be the best answer for that. Landon saying, would you say yes to this? Here we go. Bills get Jordan Addison, and then the Vikings get Bosa and a first-round pick. Yeah, you probably say yes to that. If you got a first for Addison, this is so tough. I actually hate talking about trading Jordan Addison because I think Addison is still one of the most underrated receivers in the league. If he was a wide receiver one with a good offense and a good quarterback, like if Addison went to Buffalo, I think it would be very similar to when Stephon Diggs went to Buffalo, where Diggs was a very good receiver with the Minnesota Vikings. But still with the Vikes, he was kind of running wide receiver two with Adam Thielen, and he was still putting up really good production. He still looked amazing. And then even during his last year with the Vikings, he was a wide receiver one, had some good production. But I guarantee you, if Jordan Addison went to the Buffalo Bills, this guy would go for 1,500 yards every single year. Like, he is that special wide receiver. But if you could get Bosa in a first, he would probably do it. But, again, why do the Vikings need Bosa, especially with Van Ginkel coming back? And why would the Bills just, like, attach Bosa? Because then their edge rusher position would be, absolutely depleted. So I like your thought process there. Addison for a first. I'm still probably I don't know. You honestly stumped me. I would probably need to sit down and think about this for a couple of hours. But right now, I would say no to that deal for Jordan Addison. But if you guys could predict the score for me down below in the comment section, Week 9 matchup with the Vikings traveling to Detroit. I think it's going to be ugly. I said in our preview, 42-17. Don't think it's going to be that much of a blowout. I think it's probably going to be more about 30-33 to about 20-23. Right around there. But again, this is also a typical Vikings game that they would win, where everybody's feeling down. Nobody's giving us a chance. Even the fan base is not even giving themselves a chance to win this game. That's normally when the Vikings, pull a rabbit out of the hat and, get a victory. But you guys let me know. Predict the score for me. Vikings versus Lions this weekend. Now, I do want to give a massive, massive shout out to today's presenting sponsor, and that is Harry's, a shaving company, and they have some of the best razors in the game. And for a limited time right now, our listeners here at Vikings Now can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/chat. Now, did your old razors go way too dull, way too fast? And plus, did they irritate your neck? Well, that's not the case at Harry's. And plus, other razors, they cost way too much. Sometimes they're up to $30 for 8 refills. That sounds like a total scam to me. But again, that's not the case here at Harry's. And guys, I was completely blown away my first time shaving with Harry's Plus. They have an advanced pivoting system to reach every corner of your face, refined blade tech for a closer, smoother shave, and a weighted metal handle for added control and comfort. And actually, fun fact, this is Harry's heaviest handle ever. So you guys get the most control and the best shave possible. Truly will change your life. It will change your shaving experience. So please check them out. And for a limited time, we're hooking you guys up. Our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/chat. This set includes all new Harry's Plus razor, plus 1 refined 5-blade cartridge and a 2-ounce foaming shave gel and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Just head to harrys.com/chat to claim this offer. And after you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Vikings Now by Chat Sports. But this link for you guys will be in the comment section and description of today's show. All right, let's carry on with our mailbag here. This next question coming in from George. What's going on, man? Saying, let's just say the Vikings won this weekend, moving to 4-4. And J.J. McCarthy looked good. How would you be feeling about the rest of the season, and should we make any trades? Oh, man, you don't want me to, get hammered off the purple Kool-Aid here. But, yeah, if the Vikings won this game and got to 4-4 and J.J. McCarthy looked good, I would probably be unbearable. I know myself. I know how I would react after this. I'm going to be a pain in everybody's ass if the Vikings win this game and McCarthy looks good. But should they make any trades? Even if you win this game, I don't think you should be aggressive at the trade deadline. Because you are still 4-4, and your schedule does not get easier. Now, in terms of our playoff chances, moving on, if you win this football game, we're probably feeling a whole lot better about it. But again, you don't want to kind of just push the issue here and be like, oh, we got to go win a playoff game this year. That's what we all thought before the season. But with everything that has gone wrong, it's really just about developing JJ. Like, I would love to move the 4-4. That's the most important thing this weekend. But also right near it in terms of just importance to this team moving forward for the rest of the season and also the next 10 years is that guy right there, JJ McCarthy, looking good. And that'll be absolutely awesome. And also, this would add some juice back into this team. Like, I think this fan base is kind of, I don't want to say checked out right now, but I think we're just kind of sick and tired of the Wentz experience. And if JJ McCarthy shows us something, he shows some flashes, and they somehow get a win in this team, if you go win in Detroit and them coming off a bye, like, then you got confidence where it's like, we can beat anybody. Like, give us the Ravens at home. We can go to Lambeau and beat the Packers. We just went to Detroit and beat the Lions. We can go to Seattle and beat the Seahawks. Now, would you win all those games? Probably not. But you used to have that confidence in that locker room where you could go beat any team any given week. How would I feel? I would be feeling absolutely fantastic. Big 097. What's going on? Should we draft a center? Absolutely, my guy. I think that's going to be one of the positions the Vikings really target here. Like, they have to. They have to find that center of the future with J.J. McCarthy. Ryan Kelly, clearly not the option. I understood their thought process this offseason of getting that veteran, getting that guy that kind of just help J.J. McCarthy man the ship here. It's his first year starting. But, yeah, drafting a center, definitely something the Vikings need to consider. Colton Brady, also love your profile pick, by the way, saying, if the Vikings miss the playoffs again, what's a one move, not draft pick, that could flip this franchise into a legit contender? Colton, I don't mean to burst your bubble here, but I don't really think there is one. Like, if the Vikings miss the playoffs, I'd just say they go 7-10, and hopefully JJ McCarthy looks good, and we're feeling good about him being the quarterback of the future. Even then, I don't think there's like one move where the Vikings can make because you're strapped against the cap. Like, next year, the Vikings have absolutely zero cap space to spend. So I guess, like, really to flip it into a contender, you would have to have an unreal draft class. Like, you would have to hit on your first rounder, hit on your second rounder, hit on your third rounder, where, like, all three of those guys are, like, legit starters right away in the league. That's really the only way. Like, there's not a lot of trades you could pull off. Because also you're trading for a marquee player. You're taking on his contract. Like, the only way the Vikings kind of flip this around is if they really nail the NFL draft, because you're getting a bunch of young talent on some cheap deals. But one move besides the draft, Colton, I just don't really think there is one. Brady then saying, I don't know you were mad, but you said TJ was a top 30 tight end on a recent show. Name 29 tight ends better than him. Challenge accepted, my friend. This is going to take a while, so let's do this. This will be fun. This might be a longer mailbag, but let's do it. All right, we're going to go team by team here. Shout out to my guy Brady then, trying to name 30 tight ends better than TJ Hawkinson. We can start off with the game tonight. There's 2 on the Baltimore Ravens. Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews would take both of them. On the Dolphins, probably TJ Hawkinson would be the best tight end on the Dolphins. Yeah, TJ, no tight ends there that are better than him. This might take a while. I don't know if this is the best viewing product for you guys, but the Bears, I would take Cole Kmet and Colson Loveland over them, so that's 4. Bengals, nobody there I would take. The Lions, I'm taking Laporta over them, so that's 5. Panthers, probably not a tight end I would take over them. Yeah, probably nobody there. Tucker Kraft on the Packers, absolutely. Chargers, I take Gadsden over TJ Hawkinson. The Titans, nobody there. Falcons, Kyle Pitts. Probably taking Pitts over him. Patriots, Hunter Henry, taking him, so that's 8. Niners, George Kittle, absolutely. Giants, Theo Johnson. TBD, we're still at 8. Steelers, all right, Steelers, I'm taking Jonnu Smith for sure. Taking Freiermuth for sure, so that's 10. Colts, Tyler Warren for sure. Texans, no. Evan Ingram of the Broncos, probably around the same. Brock Bowers, absolutely. That's 11. Jags, probably no. Saints, no. Rams, no. Chiefs, still taking Kelsey. So that's 13. I'm taking Knox. I'm taking Kincaid. That's 15. Seahawks, I'm taking Barner over TJ Hawkinson. So that's 16. Commanders, probably not. Cardinals, McBride, absolutely. Cowboys tight end, Ferguson, taking him over him. All right, so maybe I was I was overreacting a little bit. So he's probably about a top 20 tight end, but Yeah, there's about 18, 19 tight ends I take over Hawk. Braden Beast saying we need a quarter bad. Even signed Gilmore back. I don't care. I don't think he would change anything. I honestly think if we signed Gilmore, we'll just end up being just pissed at Gilmore. Like, listen, he's 35 years old. This guy's probably enjoying retirement right now. I think it would be unfair for Flores to call Gilmore and say, like, hey, we need you. So I'd probably say no there. But Braden Beast, I appreciate you, my guy. And we also appreciate all of you guys for tuning in to this mailbag. Again, we'll be live here on the channel an hour before kickoff. So make sure you guys tune in then. If you guys also watch this whole mailbag, hit me with those skulls down below. We'll get on out of here. As always, Skol Vikes. Alrighty. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. We're going to get on out of here. Shout out to all the real ones. Great live show as always. Can't wait for this weekend. Going to be a lot of fun. But we will we'll see you guys later. As always, Skol Vikes. Appreciate all of you guys.